In another episode in the Sovereign Renaissance, we're looking at how the government is an egregore. How does the government manipulate and influence society? What if the greatest threat to human freedom isn't a dictator, a virus, or a bomb, but a ghost? We tend to view the government as a collection of buildings and bureaucrats, but it is actually something far more ancient and terrifying. An egregore, a non physical entity born from our collective belief, fed by our compliance, and now entirely out of our control. In esoteric definition of government, in esoteric and research circles, the words are analyzed not just for their standard history, but for their phonetic and symbolic programming. The word government is often decoded through this lens. Gubernare in Latin means to steer, pilot, or control, and mentis or mens in Latin translates to the mind, while traditional linguists point out that ment is simply a suffix meaning the instrument of. The esoteric application remains identical. Government, therefore, is the instrument used to steer or control the mind. From a metaphysical standpoint, physical control is highly inefficient. True control is achieved by managing the collective psyche, shaping perceived reality, anchoring populations in specific belief structures, and dictating what is considered normal or legal within the matrix of society. In occult traditions, an egregore is a distinct, non physical entity or thought form that arises from the focused collective energy, belief, and willpower of a group of people. A nation government is one of the most potent egregores on planet Earth. This concept is perfectly captured in the famous historical frontpiece of Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan in 1651. If you look closely at the body of the giant ruler, he is not a single person. His torso and arms are composed of hundreds of distinct, tiny individuals looking up towards his head. Esoterically, this illustrates how a state or system operates. It has no independent life force of its own. It is a corporate phantom. It survives entirely by harvesting, aggregating, and directing the vital energy, attention, and compliance of the individuals who comprise it. Through taxes, oaths, compliance, and physical investments, individuals sign over a portion of this personal spiritual authority to feed the central entity in exchange for artificial security. The Hermetic mirror, external versus internal sovereignty. The core of Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, dictates that the physical world must mirror the spiritual world. In its highest spiritual sense, true government is self governance or sovereignty. It is the mastery of your own thoughts, emotions, instincts, and shadow. When an individual achieves internal sovereignty, they align with universal law and require no external handler to tell them what is right or wrong. When you look at a government through this specific esoteric lens, you are moving away from political science and entering the realm of occult mechanics. To understand the government as an egregore, a collective, non-physical thought form that gains a pseudo-conscious autonomy, you have to look at its literal psychic entity. It is an energetic host in the machine that is created by humans, but eventually grows powerful enough to rule over its creators. Here's a breakdown of how this energetic entity is constructed, how it feeds, and how it maintains its grip on the collective psyche. The birth of the phantom. An egregore cannot exist without human consciousness. It begins when a group of people bind themselves to a shared idea, law, or national identity. In the beginning, the structure is just an idea on paper. However, as millions of people invest their belief, fear, loyalty, and daily focus onto that structure, those thoughts merge in the unseen realms. Eventually, a tipping point is reached. The thought form detaches from the individual minds that created it and becomes an independent, energetic organism. It develops a primal instinct common to all living things, the drive to survive at all costs. The mechanics of the feeding cycle. Because an egregore has no physical body and no divine spark of its own, it is a parasitic structure. It requires a constant, uninterrupted supply of human life force energy to maintain its existence. It harvests this energy through several specific mechanisms. Emotional harvest or polarization. Universal law dictates that energy flows where attention goes. The egregore thrives on intense emotional output. It doesn't care if that emotion is patriotic love or burning political rage. Both frequency feed the entity. By keeping a population perpetually divided into tribal factions, Party A versus Party B, the system guarantees a massive daily eruption of emotional energy. Systemic fear. Fear is the densest, most binding human emotion. By constantly broadcasting narratives of scarcity, external threats, economic collapse, or societal chaos, the egregore keeps the collective population in a state of low level survival anxiety. A terrified population naturally yields its spiritual authority to the system, begging for protection and service delivery. Energetic teething. From an esoteric standpoint, money is simply a physical token representing your time, focus, and vital life force energy. When the system extracts a percentage of your labor via taxation, it is literally harvesting a portion of your physical energy to build, expand, and fortify its own material infrastructure. The ghost in the machine effect. Have you ever wondered why well meaning, highly ethical people enter government or bureaucracy intending to fix the system, only to end up completely disseminated or pushed out? The entity enforces its own energetic frequency. Anyone who enters its sphere of influence must either align with its existing code of the egregore or face immediate expulsion. The administrators are not actually running the show. They are merely the physical cells serving the larger, invisible body of the state. Rituals, sigils, and anchors. To keep a non-physical entity anchored to the physical world, it requires ritual and symbolism. This is where civic life mirrors high ritual magic. The sigils, flags, and seals. A nation's flag or coat of arms is not just a graphic design, it is a complex occult sigil. When millions of people look at the flag and feel a surge of pride, fear, or anger, they are directing their psychic energy straight onto that symbol, which routes it directly to the core egregore. The temples, civic architecture, government buildings, courtrooms, and parliaments are almost universally built using ancient sacred architecture. These structures are designed to manipulate earth energies, impose a sense of immense scale, and make the individual feel small, humble, and compliant in the presence of the system. The liturgy, courtroom, and legislative ritual. Think of a high court. The judge wears specific ceremonial robes. Everyone must stand when they enter. Specific archaic phrases must be spoken in precise order. This is a highly formal, binding ritual designed to invoke the authority of the law, which is the intellectual backbone of the egregore. The path to disentanglement. You cannot defeat an egregore by fighting it on its own terms, because your anger and resistance only serves as more fuel for it. The only way to neutralize its power over your life is through energetic starvation, by withdrawing your emotional investment, mastering your own shadow, and reclaiming your internal spiritual sovereignty. You become completely invisible to the matrix of the system. We spend centuries debating on who should sit at the helm of the state, blind to the terrifying truth of our own creation. The government is not a room full of politicians. It is a ghost we collectively feed, and it has developed an appetite of its own. If you liked today's video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.